Good morning, everyone. Today, inshallah, we're going to start our first recorded sessions. Actually, this recorded session, as I mentioned before, will be dedicated for the theory part. I will try as much as I can to make this only theory. يعني بخلي أحاول قد ما أقدر أخلي هذا السيشن للجزئية theory. بخلي معظم السيشن بإذن الله أو معظم الشابتر بإذن الله whenever we are meet بإذن الله in the practical section. Okay, so you have to watch this session before you come to the practical class. Okay, now let's start it. Let's start this. So chapter 2, we're going to be about getting started in C++. In the last class, we started only talking about the main concept of programming in general. What is programming? What is program? How the program is actually going to be developed, starting from being an idea, okay, until it's become like a whole accumulated product. Today, inshallah, we're going to start. لا خلاص خلصنا من the main concept of programming languages. What is the program? What is the difference between programming language and programming? What are the developing life cycle of the program? How it's started from like coding and design or developing design. Then we match it with documentation. Then we pass to go to the maintenance, which is going to like last forever whenever the application is actually being used. Today, inshallah, we're going to be more specific and we're going to start talking about specifically C++. Okay, what we are going to talk about this class is the following points: modular programs, programming style, data types, arithmetic operations, variables and declaration statements, common programming errors. طبعا we're not going to cover everything in this recorded session. Of course, we will leave the most or the biggest part, the biggest chunk of this chapter to be inshallah in the practical part. Yet we will go through like the main concepts, like theoretically, inshallah, practically, bi'idhnillah, we're going to cover it later. Okay, so first of all, let's start talking about the modular programming or modular program. First of all, the word module, which is like كأني أقول units, okay? So the program that consists of units, which is what? It's a program that consists of interrelated segments or modules, okay? So هو program, okay, like it consists of more than one module, more than one segment, sorry, more than one part, arranged in a logical and understandable form, okay? It's easier to develop such a program. طيب لما تتفكرين, when you think about such a program, which is the modular program, you can think about, for example, games. فرضاً, when we are developing games, we are developing them as modules, as parts, as segments. يعني الكاركتر is a module or is a part. مثلا الباكجراوند حقت الجيم is a part. Weapons is a part. Each and every one of these things is actually a part or module, okay? But then we're going to merge them together. Why it's better to do such or to develop such programs? It's actually easier to develop and correct. يعني لما يصير خطأ في اللعبة, يصير error في اللعبة, we will go directly. Where is the error? The error, for example, in the character, one of the characters has error. بدل ما نروح ونشيك كل البروجرام, نروح للسيجمنت, البارت اللي له علاقة بالكاركتر, and we will fix it. Correct? This is why it's better to have such type of programming. So this is actually what we mean by modular or module programming, okay? So the programming or the program that consists of more than one module, more than one part, or more than one signal. Why it's good or better to have such a program؟ لأنها easy to develop, to correct, and even to modify it. لأنك if you'd like to develop it, if you'd like to improve it، خلاص تروحين للسيجمنت اللي تبين تسوين له develop. مثلا لما يكون عندك program كبير for example for accounting، له جزئية مثلا لحاسبة مثلا calculator، وجزئية فيه مثلا for example displaying for example some results. If you would like for example to upgrade the calculator، خلاص you will go directly to the part or the segment of calculator. You will go directly to the segment of the displaying. You will go directly to the segment for example of printing. يعني تبي مثلا تغيرين الفورمات of printing. That's why it's better to use such a way of programming. And modules in C++, okay، كيف نبرمج بالC++ modules تكون parts؟ okay, we call it classes or functions. طيب طبعا في programming languages ثانية ممكن تسمى methods، بس في C++ نسميها classes. يعني كل class لها علاقة بجزئية معينة في البروجرام حقي. When you talk about for example a game, so there will be a class for the character, a class for the weapons, a class, for example, for the list of friends that you are contact or like combat with. Okay, so this is what modules in C++ means. We call it classes or functions. يعني كل function له علاقة بشيء معين. I will add function, for example, for selecting the date. I will add another function to print the invoice in a specific format. Okay, this is what we mean by the modules. Okay, now let's introduce the concept of the, how can I say it? The module. Okay, what is the module? واحنا قلنا ان الموديول في C++ we can call it sometimes function. We can call it function or we can call it function. Let's change the color. We usually call it function. Okay, or class. طيب. This function we can think about it. لما تتذكرون أنا تكلمت معكم عن invocation, one of the programming styles. إذا تتذكرون programming styles إحنا قلنا programming لما نجي نسوي program or like part of program, it's maybe straight like sequence, selection, iteration, or sometimes it is called invocation. Okay, so the invocation, لما تسوين invocation, you're supposed to have a class or a function. Okay, أنا قلت لكم في البداية اسمه methods. في method في in another programming languages it's called method. اللي هو في الجافا نسميها method. في ال C++ we call it function. الfunction this function accept input, process this input and produce an output. تقول طيب إيش فرقها عن البرنامج يعني البرنامج الطبيعي؟ أقول لك فعلا the function is like macro program, small program, tiny program. لأن نقول إن في function مثلا this function is going to find for example the average. عندي function صغيرة find average of مثلا two numbers. Okay, I will create this function in my program, okay, and save it. Whenever I need in my whole program, my huge program, whenever I need to calculate an average, I will call or invoke this function. Okay, so functions of course وعلى أساس تفكري فيها على أساس يعني in order to find the average, I have to feed this function. I have to give the function the first number and the second number, okay? Then the function inside will do the calculation, whether it's going to multiply, divide. This function actually is going to multiply two numbers, okay? So عندنا function, tiny function that will accept two numbers and do multiplication. طيب راح اسويها عندي. تخيل ان انت تذكرون المثال اللي اعطيتكم اياه عن الميك اب سيت، ان انا مسويه ميك اب سيت for occasions مثلا للويدنجز. اوكي، وحطيتها على جنب. خلاص انا اعرف هذه الفرشه واعرف هذا الباليت واعرف هذا البلاشر and contour. Everything is actually for occasion. So whenever I need it, okay, later I will go directly and call it and bring it. خلاص واخذه واستعمله. It's already there. I don't need to I don't need to prepare it again. I don't need to collect it again. It's already there and I know it's here. The same thing with the function. Function process is encapsulated. محفوظ أو كأنه مضغوط, encapsulated and hidden within the function. Okay, the process of the function أنت من برا, even as like a programmer, sometimes you're just going to find or going to see the box of the function. Inside the function, okay, there will be the lines of a code that will process the function. Okay, لما تسوين لها call, okay, سطر الكول بس راح يتضمن اسم الفانكشن, ما راح يتضمن الاسطر حقه الفانكشن. او الفانكشن اوريدي موجوده, يعني يقول لك يا فلان سوي لي الشغله هذه, ما يحتاج ان فلان يجي بنفسه, راح يسويها لك ويقول لك راح ارسل لك الريزلت فقط. اوكي, so the result is what we are going to get whenever we call the function. So راح يكون عندنا function. راح تشوفون معظم البروجرامينج في السي بلس بلس عباره عن functions. طبعا في البدايه راح نبدا باساسيات essential things. Then we will use functions. الفانكشنز هذه عباره عن small tiny programs going to put the lines here. طبعا هذا البروجرام اللي هنا تشوفين تقولين طيب بس ما اشوف بروجرام. شوفي هذا اللاين اللي هو A multiply by B, هذا يعتبر program tiny program, سطر من البروجرام يضرب لك A في B متى ما احتجتي, whenever you need it. ما يحتاج تقولين A multiply by E by B وتاخذين الريزلت وتحولينها. Just call this function. Of course later we're going to learn how to call the function. Then that's it. You will get the result. Okay, so mostly C++ programming we're going to consist of functions, which is actually so good. It's actually something like يعني advantage of C++ that we can actually program in modules, because again it's so easy. تخيل يكون عندك huge program, okay, that's related, for example, as I said before, that's related خلونا من الاكاونتنج that's related to student. تبي نسوي كذا برنامج متكامل for students that accommodates students, يخدم الطالب. It's going to print, for example, the schedule for him, print يعني do the calculation, for example, for his own or her own average, blah, blah, blah. So this whole program consists of things. Each and every part is actually a segment or a function. Whenever you need, for example, to find the average, there will be a function to find the average. متى ما احتجتي الفانكشن حقت الافريج you will only call it. Okay, so now when we talk about the class, okay, the class is what احنا تكلمنا عن function before. Functions are part of the class. So the class contains both data and functions used to manipulate the data. الآن تخيلي معي إن يكون عندي class for example class of game أسميها class of game. اوكي، انا هذا اللي قاعده الحين اكتبه pseudo code, شبه كود. اوكي، الكلاس اوف جيم هذا I'm sorry for my horrible handwriting. anyways الكلاس هذا اوكي يقول لك هذا كلاس اوف جيم. عندي كلاس كامل للجيم, داخله راح يكون فيه variables, في شيء اسمه variables and functions. okay, these functions are the actions that I will do. مثلا function to change the character, function to مثلا call or communicate with your friend list, function to attack, function to change the weapon. Okay, So the class of games consists of these small functions and variables. Okay, so it consists of data, which are consist like such as variable data and functions. الfunctions تعتبر مثل الactions that will use to manipulate. Manipulate يعني تتلاعب أو yeah, manipulate thing يعني تتلاعب فيه أو تتصرف فيه. That manipulate the data. Okay, so this is what the class. Let's remove this. Okay, so here we have another thing also to understand, something called identifier. Okay, identifier بالعربي معرف. Okay, لما أجيك أقول لك identify yourself. Sorry, identify yourself يعني عرف بنفسك. Okay, so in programming languages, identifier, any programming language, the identifier is a name given to an element of the language, such as variable, constant, class, or function. سواء كنتي راح تعرفين variable أو class أو function أو أي شيء, you have to identify this object, this thing, هذا الشيء. You have to identify it by what? By giving it a name. يعني بكل بساطة identifying something is to give it a name. يعني هذا الأوبجكت اللي أنت راح تبرمجينه you have to give it a name. طيب يعني such as for example the function, ما ينفع تسوين function without giving a name. ليه؟ لأنك when you call this function, when you invoke this function, you have to call it or invoke it with its name. يعني تخيل يكون عندك آدمي ما له اسم. You have to identify this human. Is exactly like we identify identifying other objects. طيب, it says here there is actually rules in order to identify the name or identifying the objects. First of all, لما تسوين name or identifier for any object in programming language, وعلى فكرة هذا ترى عام for any programming language. The first character لما مثلا بتسمين function راح تسمينها اسم. The first character must be a letter or underscore. When you call it, the first letter, you have to call it, يعني the first letter is supposed to be a letter. First character is supposed to be a letter. يعني ما تبدين باسم مثلا to game مثلا. This is incorrect. هذا rule number 1. Rule number 2, or طبعا underscore. Only letters, digits, or underscore may follow the initial letter and no blanks allowed. يعني ما تقدرين تسمينه game بعدين تتركين space بعدين تحطين to. خطأ. Incorrect. You can call it game underscore to. It's only letters, digits, or underscores might follow the initial letter. No blanks allowed. حتى لو بعدين بإذن الله راح نروح نسمي الكلاس كامل, we have to follow this. No spaces. ما تسمينا game space 2 ولا مثلا class 1, class 2, class مسافة. No, there is no any spaces. Keywords cannot be used as identifiers. What does that mean? We, in programming languages, have keywords that already reserved, محجوزة, by the system, and you can't use it as name or identifier for the objects. مثلا كلمة class, especially when the classes actually start with capital C. ليه؟ لأنها محجوزة في السيستم إنها لها معنى معين. So لما تجين وتسمين مثلا variable أو function باسم class كذا with capital C, the system will confuse أنت تقصدين الكلاس اللي already محجوزة عندي ولا الكلاس اللي أنت تبين أسميه إياها. أساسا ما راح يرضى لك تسمين كذا. So any reserved word cannot be used as identifier, cannot be used as name for these objects. Okay, so number 1, no first character supposed to be letter, ما تبدين numbers or any special character except of course underscore. You can start with underscore. only letters, digits or underscore are like allowed. يعني you are not allowed to call it, for example, game at 2 خطأ. There is no any special character allowed except the underscore بس. And you can put the underscore in the beginning. You can't put any other special characters. The special characters including, for example, star, الهاش, at, slash. You can't use any of them in the identifier as identifier. Again, الايدنتيفاير هو عبارة عن ايش؟ عبارة عن the name of the object. سواء كان data, سواء كان element, class, constant, variable, anything you would like to like give it a name or identifier. Of course, يعني you have to follow these rules. Maximum length of the identifier is of course 1024 characters. يعني don't make it يعني that long. Try as much as you can to give it meaningful name or meaningful identifier. Whenever you are going to give identifier خليه meaningful. يعني لما يكون البروجرام حقك كذا huge program all identifiers A, B, C, Z, I don't know what exactly this is. Try to make it like understandable, يعني understandable or readable names or identifiers. مثلا إذا عندك function for the average مثلا سميها find average. عندك function to change character سميه change character. أي شيء, anything that you want to make it, try as much as you can to make it like reasonable. Okay, so this is the class. We know what is the class and the identifier. طبعا now when we go through the practical part يا بنات, you will have better understand about these definitions. Okay, so now let's go. طيب ممكن تقولي miss أنا I am just a beginner in programming and I have no idea about the reserved words. الكلمات اللي السيستم يشوف إنها reserved محجوزة and you don't have to use it. Here we have like a list of some of the keywords in C++. طبعا each and every programming languages has its own list of reserved words. Most of them are actually like have a common of these words, but here in C++, طبعا مو مطلوب منك ان انت تحفظينهم, but try as much as you can at least يعني go away from these. مثلا كلمة auto, break, يعني لا تسمين any identifier as break or auto or anything else. اوكي break لان احنا راح نستعملها بعدين. break case راح نستعملها catch, char, class, const, continue, default. All of these words we will use them as part of the program. Okay, as part of the system words or system keywords that's already reserved by the system, by the computer itself. You can't use it as identifier. ما تقدرين تستعملين على أساس تسمين identifier, على أساس تسمين variables أو functions حقتك. All of these words are reserved. Okay, all of these words are like, of course, reserved. Delete, do, double, all of these are already reserved. ممكن تقولي مس مرة صعب علينا أنا أحفظهم. I'm not going to ask you to do this, but while we are programming تلاحظين إن most of these words we are going to use them in our program as a part of the program. That's why you can't use it as identifier. Okay, now here we go. These are some examples of valid identifiers, correct identifiers. طيب مثلا variable نسميه get sorry dig I'm sorry dig to rad. okay, intersect, add num. شوفي حتى هنا طبعا هي تتكون هنا from two words add ونums, which يعني واضح انها add numbers. In order to make it one word وتتجنبون المشكلة the problem of the the space or the black space, you can make them one word and make the the first character of the second word as capital على أساس تميزون بينهم. فصارت كده add num تقدرين تقرينها. Why? Because the first character of the second name is actually capital, so you can read it. Now احنا سميناه اسم يعني reasonable. Okay, واضح ان add nums يعني معناتها for example this function is for add numbers and it's readable. في نفس الوقت تجنبنا الخطأ اللي هو there is no any spaces. مثلا slope, base, b, cell, mult2. All of these are like find max. All of these are valid names. They are not reserved. ما يبدون بnumbers ولا special character. Okay. All of them are correct. طبعا اما يبدون small character or capital character, it's fine. طيب, here we go some invalid identifiers. مثل 1AB3. إيش مشكلته? It begins with number. And we said before that you can't identify any identifier or create any identifier that starts with digit or number. Here, E multiply or E star 6. احنا قلنا no special characters except underscore. لو اني قلت لك هنا صححيها اوكي ممكن تقولين E underscore 6. In this situation it will be correct, it will be valid. Okay, but E star 6 is actually invalid because it's a special character. A star is a special character. احنا قايلين من قبل one of the rules that you can't use any special characters rather than the underscore. While is actually invalid because it's already reserved. شو هنا? It's one of the reserved words. Where is it? Yeah, while. راح نستعملها إن شاء الله في loops. I believe we already have like a small idea about loops. So while is actually invalid identifier name. Okay, so these are some examples for valid and invalid identifiers. Such questions may come in the exam. ممكن أجيب لك some names and I'll ask you check whether these identifiers are valid or invalid. If it's going to be valid, if it's like not starting with a number, not continuing any special character except the underscore, and of course not contain any reserved keyword. Okay, so this is actually a way to ask some questions, and this is actually so important for you to also recognize the valid name or the valid identifier. Okay, now let's move to the function names. Okay, now in order to create a function, احنا قلنا الفانكشن عبارة عن تخيلوها as a small box تحطين فيها شيء, you put something in it يعني already prepared. Okay, أسطر من الكود already prepared. Okay, and you will save it. Whenever you need it, you will call it. طيب, how I'm going to create the function or the function name? How I'm going to give a name for the function? Require a set of parentheses at the end. Can use maximum, upper and lower cases. هذه rules for naming functions. Should be meaningful or at least or be like have like a name. Okay, let's talk about some examples of function names. مثلا essay. Okay, واضح. شوفوا احنا why we put these parentheses, because if we need to pass any parameters, نتكلم بعدين عن parameters. إذا كنا نحتاج نعطي هذا الفانكشن أي شيء على أساس يسوي البروسيس حقتها. إذا تتذكرون من قبل عن البوكس اللي تكلمنا عنه, شوفوا هنا هذا البوكس. أيوة, هذا البوكس. Let me remove these scratches. طيب, شفتوا هنا هذا البوكس اللي هو الفانكشن اللي to find A multiplied by B. It needs something to do the process. أنا أحتاج A و B، تعطيني A و B الفيرست number والسكند number على أساس إني multiplying them and give you the result. Correct? That's why يا بنات we have here these parentheses. If we need to pass or give the function any parameters, any numbers or anything to do the process, we have to give them, or we have to put them here between the two parentheses. Okay, these are names of functions. Say, okay, وبعدين طبعا ضروري في ال C++ ضروري تحطين two parentheses after the name of the function. إذا كان ما يحتاج إنك تسوين pass for the parameters, it's going to be empty. If there is need to give or pass parameters, there will be parameters here between the two parentheses. C3PO, this is يعني a correct name مع أنها يعني نوعا ما mysterious, I don't know what is this. R2, D2, this is correct لأنها ما تبدأ بديجيت ولا فيها أي special character rather than this, the underscore ولا فيها space. So correct. The force, correct. مع أنها تتكون من two words, the و force. لكن in order to avoid the mistake, actually I made the first character of the second word, force, as capital. Okay, so this is how to write the function names. الايدنتيفايرز عادية، الفاريبلز العادية ما تحتاج انك تحطين فيها parentheses. لكن the functions you need to put these parentheses after the name. Okay, now we talk just like a little bit. بعدين الآن راح أوريكم الفانكشن راح تفهمون بإذن الله أكثر. Note that C++ is case sensitive language. What does that mean? حتى مستقبلا بإذن الله لما تبرمجون in any programming language, when you know that it is a case sensitive language, that means when you declare a variable اسمه A, okay, هذا ال A مختلف عن الكابيتال A. ولما تسمين function مثلا هنا say easy, sorry it's not it's easy, I read it as I say easy, okay, هذا طيب مختلف عن easy with capital E. Case sensitive معناتها it's really sensitive to the case letter. If it's capital, it's different than the small. Okay, so you have to remember that. يعني when you declare a function اسمها the force with small t at the beginning ورحتي ناديتيها سويتي لها invoke or call as the force, the system will ask you, what is the force? I don't know, what is it? أنت عرفتيها as the force with small t. والآن تنادينها the force with capital T. This is not the same thing. It's different. Okay? So you have to keep that in mind. Okay? So this is how to call the functions. يعني لها نفس الشروط حقت identifier العادية. اللهم at the end you have to add these parentheses. Sometimes it's going to be empty. Sometimes it's going to be filled with some parameters. يعتمد على حالها. And now we are going to talk about when these, later we're going to talk about when these two parentheses supposed to stay empty and when we have to add something inside them. Okay, but in general this is how to name a function. الفاريبلز العادية doesn't need these parentheses, but for the functions no, you have to add them. وش الفرق بين الباراميترز أو الفاريبلز والfunctions؟ الفانكشن عبارة عن small box that contain some lines inside it. الباراميتر أو الvariable, it's just like a variable or parameter. I'm going to now to show you what is the difference between them. Okay, so here is the variables, as we say, ABC is different than ABC and different when we put the A at the beginning, and all are different. Okay, now let's talk about the main function. عندنا في كل برنامج any program، بتشوفون إن شاء الله when we start programming any program supposed to have this function. ممكن البروجرام حقك ما فيه إلا هذا الفانكشن بس fine، لكن هذا الفانكشن اللي اسمه main هو اللي راح يشغل لك البرنامج حقك. So main function is really main function. ولاحظوا هنا مثل ما قلنا تبعنا فيه نفس، طبعا main مو على كيف نسميه، هو اسمه main ما يتغير اسمه. It's actually followed the same conditions of naming the functions and followed by the parentheses. طيب خلونا الآن يعني نشوف إيش شغلة المين بالضبط. إيش شغلة المين function. هنا تخيلوا إن عندنا المين function. تخيلوا إنه exactly like a box. طيب وإحنا قلنا من قبل إن الفانكشن أو المين class المين function it can contain like some small modules or functions inside it too. طبعا لما يكون عندنا المين function داخله inside it, okay, we will put the first module, okay, that goes here. يعني لما يجي الكومبايلر، تذكرون كلمة الكومبايلر اللي يجي يقرأ كل البرنامج ويطبق، it will go and start from the first module. يقرأ أول الأسطر، خلاص يحط في باله كيف يطبقها، يقرأ الأسطر اللي بعدها، يقرأ الأسطر اللي بعدها، يقرأ الأسطر اللي بعدها إلى النهاية، بعدين يطبق لك من البداية إلى النهاية، مو عشوائياً ولا من تحت لفوق، من فوق لتحت. So you're going to put the first module، تحطينه هنا، راح يقراها الكومبايلر، بعدين I am done، خلص من الأسطر اللي في البداية، يروح الموديول الثاني أو الجزء الثاني أو الشانك الثاني ويقراه ويطبقه and so on and so forth. Sometimes the main function we call it driver function، هو اللي يقود، هو الفانكشن الأساسي في أي كلاس، هو الأساس، هو اللي تحطين داخل كل الفانكشنز الثانية حقتك. All functions when you invoke it you have to invoke it from the main even if these functions are from like other classes. احنا تكلمنا من قبل ممكن نسوي invocation حتى لو ما كان الفانكشن حقنا موجود في نفس الكلاس حقنا، ترى ممكن يكون في كلاس ثاني، ممكن يكون في ديرة ثانية، ممكن يكون في ملف ثاني، just we have to invoke it عادي. And when we have to invoke them inside the main function. Okay, so this is how the compiler is actually reading the modules or reading the chunks of your program. راح يبدأ يقراها من فوق إلى تحت. Whatever you put at the beginning in your main program راح يقراه أول شيء الكومبايلر ويطبقه، بعدين ينتقل للي بعده، الchunk the second chunk the third chunk. يعني مستحيل يجيك الكومبايلر ويطبق شيء موجود هنا قبل ما يطبق الشيء اللي موجود هنا. Okay, so the main is actually like a whole box that contains the modules of your own program, and the compiler will go and compile each and every part in a specific order. Again, inshallah, بإذن الله, when we start the practical part, you will see it يعني practically. بتشوفينها practically and you will understand it even more. Okay, now how we write the head of the function. طيب how to write the function. احنا عرفنا how to identify، كيف نعطيه اسم. Now how to write the function. The function is consists of two parts. طيب الهيدر and the body of the function. Okay, الهيدر لما أقول لك function header معناتها first line of the function. first line هذه المفروض أنها تحتوي على إيش؟ The type of data returned by the function, name of the function, type of data that must be passed into the function if any. طيب تقول بس إيش هذا؟ I can't understand anything. طيب الحين خلوني أقول لكم شغلة. نرجع مرة ثانية للإكزامبل of the box. that I showed you before. طيب هنا letter الرقم A number A ونمبر B. طيب وهذه الفانكشن حقتي الصغيرة هذه كانت تضرب A multiply by B and give me the result. تمام؟ دائما تذكروا هذا المثال البسيط. تعالوا نطبقه هنا. Okay. Now I will write a function header line for this function. خلونا نشوف في البداية. What I have to provide. Type of data returned by the function of any. تتوقعون لما أقول لك هذا الفانكشن it find نتيجة A ضرب B، ولنفرض إن A و B are actually real numbers or integer numbers. integer numbers تعرفون طبعا من الماث تعرفون what does integer numbers mean. لما أقول لك this function is actually going to ask me to enter two numbers, number A و number B, and will give me the result of this multiplication. The result is what we have as return. لما أقول لك this function return this result يعني what this function will going to give me after the process. لما تخلص البروسيس what this function will going to give me. We're going to give me the result of A multiplied by B. ولما A integer و B integer تتوقعون what's the type of the data that will be returned from this operation? Of course, it's going to be integer. معناته the return type of the function is actually integer. And now we're going to see how to type the type of the type of data. Okay? Name of the function. طبعا الآن احنا قاعدة أعطيكم الأجزاء اللي تتكون منها الهيدر لاين، وبعدين بوريكم example وبرجع أقول لكم تتذكرون هذا كذا هذا كذا هذا كذا. Name of the function, the data type that must be passed by. تتذكرون لما أقول لكم الفانكشن maybe need something to pass by على أساس أسوي أنا الأوبريشن. صح؟ I have to pass arguments or pass data to this function. هنا in this situation لازم تعطيني أنت A و B على أساس أضربهم في بعض وأعطيك الريزلت. أوكي؟ الهيدر لاين لازم يحتوي على الباس parameter or pass data if there is any. ليه؟ لأن في function there are some functions that do not need any pass data. تقول بس كيف؟ أقول لك تعالي الآن وأنا قلت لك إن هذا البوكس المهمة حقته والأكشن حقه الفانكشن حقه أو الأكشن حقه إنه يضرب A في B. طبيعي لما تضرب بين A في B you need A and you need B in order to multiply them together. There are some functions that do not need any data to do the action. أعطيك مثال في الحياة الواقعية. لما أقول لك يا فلانة عندك هذه أعطيك مثلا نتائج البنات. Okay, the result of the exam. وأقول لك find the average. أنا أعطيتك شيء. لاحظوا أنا سويت لك pass لشيء. أعطيتك نتائج البنات، أعطيتك الريزلت كل البنات. نفرض أن كل ورقة من البنات من أوراق البنات عبارة عن رقم 30 50 60. أعطيتك إياهم وقلت لك calculate the average and return the result for me. معناته I have to give you the numbers وانت تروحين تحسبين الافريج، بعدين you have to return the result for me. طيب هذا مثال على function that you have to pass parameters to. لازم تعطينها شيء and it's going to return something for you. طيب خلونا نتخيل الآن لما أقول لك يا فلانة قومي and go and close the light. روحي وطفي اللمبات. هل يحتاج أعطيك شيء على أساس تروحين تطفين اللمبات؟ لا، ما يحتاج. هل راح ترجعين لي شيء؟ هل تقولي لي خلاص أنا طفيت اللمبات خلاص انتهينا؟ طفيتي اللمبات سويتي action. So there are some actions that do not need any return. ما فيها return, ما ترجع لك شيء. And do not need any pass. و sometimes إنها they need pass. أنا أحتاج إني أعطيك شيء ولا ترجع لي شيء. أعطيك إياها مثال. مثلا if I have a function that will change مثلا change the color of they change the color of the background مثلا of the game. مثلا أو في تويتر شفت تويتر فيه option إنك تسوين change for the color of the background from the day mood to the night mood. Do I need to give anything أعطيك أي شيء على أساس إنه تغير الباكجراوند؟ لا. Just you're going to go and change it. For example, if there is function that will change the let me see, the clothes. لا, the clothes of the character. Yeah, they change the background of the game. Do we need to give them anything? لا, go and change it. خلصنا. I don't need to give you anything to change it. So there is no any pass parameter or return parameter. Now, when I go and show you an example, of course, you will know what I mean. Okay, and the pass, of course, the data passed into function, supposed to be like this, and the function body. So the function in general supposed to consist of these three parts. Function header, الآن بوريكم example. Arguments, if there is any arguments, which are the past data, and the function body. Function body عبارة عن statement, what do you want the function to do. Now I will show you an example and you will understand it even better. And don't forget that each statement inside the function supposed to end with semicolon. إذا ما حطيت لها semicolon, this is actually an error. Return. When a function returns something, that means it's going to give me the result of this action that's made by the function. Okay, is a keyword with causing like appropriate value to be returned from the function. إذا كانت الفانكشن مثلا find average, function that find average, of course it's supposed to return it to me. يعني أنت تلقين تسوين الافريج وتحطينه عندك، أنا إيش أستفيد منه؟ So whenever you need the function to retain the result or give you the result, you will use the word return. وأجين شفتوا هنا ذا كلمة return هذه one of the reserved words. You can't use it for identifying any object. At the end of main function دائما راح نستعمل هذه الكيورد return zero. Okay, return zero, which means return nothing. خلصنا من البرنامج. It caused the program to end. Usually we use it at the end of the main. واحنا قلنا المين function هي function that contains all functions. When we end it with return zero, that means خلصنا، ترى انتهينا من البرنامج. Okay, now this is actually how the main functions actually work. Take a look here. أول شيء هذه إذا تذكرون الأجزاء, this is the type of return value, int. معناته whatever will return from this function, the main function actually will be integer number. وإذا فكرتي فيها إيش راح يسوي return؟ دائما الريتيرن حقها zero. دائما we will finish this function, the main function اللي داخله كل الستيتمنتس والfunctions حقتنا, we will always return zero in it. That's why the main function is actually integer. The data type of the return is always going to be zero. والزيرو عبارة عن integer, عدد حقيقي. When we go and like call a specific data type as integer, we call it int. Int space main. This is the main. This is the name of the function, which is the main function. وبعدين we have to put empty argument list. طيب, so this is called what? This is the function headline. Headline. Okay, so this is the function headline that contains the return value, the return data type value, the function name, والempty argument list أو empty parentheses اللي ممكن نحط داخلها argument list. Inside the function body, okay, you can put your program here وقبل ما تنهين بزيرو. Return to zero. طبعا لا تنسى إن كل statement, each and every statement is supposed to end with semicolon. And even here the return zero. Don't forget that it's actually ended with semicolon. Okay, in the practical إن شاء الله, because in the practical إن شاء الله بركز على جزئية البراكتيكال وبتشوفونها بشرح لكم إياها line by line. Okay, so in the practical بس أبيكم فقط تتذكرون الهيدلاين لأني بسألكم عنه. Function headline contains of what? Function type of the return value لأن بسوي له return لزيرو. Name of the function, the empty parentheses, بعدين يبدأ بكيرلي brace وينتهي بكيرلي brace. Take a look here, take a look here. ضروري داخله تحطين البروجرام حقك وقبل ما ينتهي تسوين return zero. Okay, I just want to show you how it's work. شوفوا هنا div C++ على أساس بس أبي أكبر لكم الخط. How can I change it? Yeah, tools. Okay, editor options. من tools أو editor options أبي أكبر لكم الخط. تروحون لفونت, increase the size, تكبرونه قد ما تقدرون. It's better to be big, thin. Okay. Okay. طبعا there are specific lines before, لكن بوريكم كيف تنكتب المين. Okay, and main, two parentheses, then you will open the brace and call the brace. شفتوا كيف؟ and main, two parentheses, we open. بمجرد اني سويت open for the curly brace هنا, it's all يعني directly it's closed by itself. يعني مجرد انك تفتحين curly brace على طول it will open by itself. Okay, so this is actually so important. هنا you will put your program. You will write your program here. Okay, so this is only, I will show you how to do this إن شاء الله in the class. بحاول قد ما أقدر إن أي شيء practical نخليه in the class. It's better. Okay, so again برجع أفهمكم هذه في practical إن شاء الله, but you have to understand that here we have three parts. part الأول function headline اللي تتكون من return value, name of the function, والempty parameter list. لو كان هنا في شيء anything to pass, طبعا بعدين بإذن الله we will put something here. Okay, this is number, this is the parameter list. هنا نحطها هنا, and here is the body of the function, and here we have the return. Whatever you want the compiler to implement, you have to put it between these two curly braces. Okay, anything outside these curly braces, it's not going to be implemented. Okay, so I only going to show you a simple program that will print a word for you. Sorry, this is black. We'll change it to red. Okay, and in the class, during the class, of course, we're going to go through this again. شفتوا هذه lines including iostream using namespace space std. هذه two lines تحفظونها مثل أساميكم. Like literally أبيكم تكتبونها blindly. These two lines it gives the compiler like announcements that I am going to write a program, including IOStream. You're going to include this file of IOStream and using namespace std. These two lines supposed to be written before the main function. Take a look here. I will type it at the beginning وبتشوفين حتى الألوان حقت البروجرام will be changed. Hash include space IOStream. Okay. وتلاحظين أساسا any parentheses it's open, it's going to be closed by itself. Using namespace. كذا مرة واحدة. Namespace. Using space بعدين namespace as one part std. This is actually going to inform the compiler that you are about to write a program. هذه السطرين كذا blindly تحفظينها. Okay. بعدين int main وهنا تحطين البروجرام حقك. الآن بعطيكم بس أول نقطة اللي هي how to print something. How to print something on the screen. Just how to print hello world or whatever you name. We will use a statement called cout. يعني C من لغة C. Out يعني كان يقول print. وبعدين هذه الإشارات اللي هي smaller. cout. Okay. Space. Then anything you want it to be printed on the screen as it is بدون ما يناقشك عليه يقول لك هذا خطأ ولا هذا صح. You have to put it between two. You have to put it between two sorry. These braces, which is I'm sorry, I'm forgetting this. Quotations, I'm sorry, but between double quotations. Anything that's supposed to be printed as text, supposed to be between double quotation. Let's say, for example, hello. And semicolon. تمام? This line is going to print hello Sarah بدون double quotations. Hello Sarah. Hello, my name is Sarah. وقبل ما ننهي البروجرام الصغير حقنا we have to type return 0. Return space 0 semicolon. So here, this is the main function, type of return, which is 0. لأن دائما المين function راح تسوي return ل0 يعني تنهي البرنامج. بعدين لما يكون عندنا functions إن شاء الله داخل المين راح يكون طبعا الreturn مختلف على حسب it's depend on the function itself. Here what we did only one thing, which is we wanted to print this text on the screen. Hello, my name is Sarah. By what? By using this statement. cout. شوفوا small ما هي capital. معناته cout كذلك من reserved words ما تقدروا تستعملونها as identifier. بعدين smaller هذه. بعدين between double quotations type whatever you want. Then return 0. تمام؟ طيب in order to debug the program. تتذكروا من قبل إن عندنا مصطلح اسمه bug, which is program errors. لازم يكون عندنا testing. Debug, which is the process of locating and correcting the errors. How I'm going to debug the program? شوفوا هنا هذا list. You will go to this menu, execute تطبيق. Okay. take a look to this option, compile and run. compile يعني صحح، سوي لي debug إذا كان في أي خطأ بيطلع لنا. then run يعني شغل البرنامج. okay again execute compile and run. وتقدرين حتى تضغطين F11 إذا كنت تحبين الشورت cuts. it's going to do it with you. أول ما تضغطين عليه يقول لك إنه you didn't save this program. You have to save it. طيب بعدين you have to save the file name. سميه whatever you want طالما أنا مو شرط عليك اسم. سميه مثلا test2. again don't call it test مسافة to خطأ. It's supposed to include one word, no spaces. Don't start with don't start with digits. So let's call, for example, test underscore 2. هذا valid. تمام صار الآن test underscore 2. سوى compile. okay. وطلع لي results. Hello, my name is Sar. process execute طبعا أعطاني الوقت اللي سوى فيه execute with return value 0. press any key to continue. You can just click enter. خلاص. okay, so this is the simplest program, and this is how we start programming. This is this object اللي اسمه cout. okay, إيش يسوي؟ اسمه هو عبارة عن object, an output object that send data to standard output display device. يعني بكل بساطة هذا cout يقول لك أظهر هذا النص اللي أنا بعطيك إياه on the screen. Whatever I'm going to put between two or double quotations, just to print it for the user. This is what the cout do. okay, وعلمتكم يا بنات these two lines اللي أبيكم تجون الكلاس وأنتم حافظينها مثل أساميكم. hash include space بعدين هذه triangle parenthesis. once إن أنت أشوفوا هنا أول ما تفتحين triangle parenthesis أي نوع من parenthesis أي نوع من الأقواس once you open it الdiv C++ راح يسكر لك إياها على طول على أساس يقول لك على أساس ما تنسين إنك تسكرينها. okay, so iostream. okay, using space using بعدين مسافة space sorry namespace بعدين مسافة std full semicolon بعدين تكتبين int main these two brackets تفتحين الأقواس تسكرين قبل ما تسكرينها تحطين return 0. أبيكم الكلاس الجاي تكونون حافظين هذا الهيكل هذا الستركتشر زي أساميكم. before you create any program هذا هو الهيكل الأساسي حقه. include iostream name std فيه int main that will return بيخلص return 0. طبعا هنا راح نحط whatever we want. هنا راح يكون البروجرام حقنا whatever we want to do, but it's always going to finish or end with return 0. هذا اللي أبي منكم. وقت البراكتيكال بإذن الله we'll go through all the other things. okay, هنا طبعا بيشرح لكم what's the preprocessor command start with the include, what is the file name and blah blah blah. I'm going to describe it for you inshallah in the practical. okay, so please يا بنات شفتوا هذا الكونسبت اللي قلت لكم من قبل عنها الايدنتيفاير الشروط that we have to name the variables or functions. What is the function? What is the function consist of? You have to study this well. You have to also open the dev C++. Try to type these lines. طبعا إذا كنت would like to تتدربون على cout fine بالعكس أفضل. Type your name, whatever you would like to type. This program is my first program. Yay. Okay, So, and whenever you would like to execute, if it's the first time, of course, it's going to do the first time. Oh, what happened? Oh, okay. Take a look here. There is a bug here. It says here, شوفوا هنا الخطأ شو يقول لك expected semicolon before the return. Why? Because I forgot the semicolon. وبعلمكم بإذن الله how to read the errors that happened. Okay, بتعمد في بعض الأحيان إني أسوي برنامج وأحط فيه أخطاء وأقول لكم يلا وين الخطأ. حاولوا تقرون الخطأ وتقولوا لي where is the error. Let's do execute again. شوفوا الآن بعودكم إنها تستعملون الشورت كاتس لأنها مرة مفيدة. So control F11, which is in the top. Okay. Oh, it's not working here. Okay, sorry. No. It's supposed to work like this. Without control. I'm so sorry. It's like directly F-. No problem. Compiler run. It will do the process now. And let's wait. This program is my first program. Yay. It's already طبق. And it gave us the results. هل الريزلت حقتنا مثل ما توقعنا؟ Yes, this is what I wrote. This program is my first program. Yay, it's exactly the same thing. لو أنا طلع لي شيء ثاني يقول بناء على التست my program is incorrect. I have to correct it. So this is what I have for you this class. تعمدت إني أخليه يعني as short as I can. And I will postpone everything that's related to the practical class, inshallah. In the practical class, we'll go through the rest of the chapter. Okay, it's so important, ya banat, to understand everything here, what I said, and the practical part, inshallah, will be in the practical class. Thank you so much. I will also upload these slides for you. Don't forget to study well and come with full prepared mentality. Have a nice day, everyone.